Good morning, it's Pete, Mindwiseman channel, aka Maverick Outdoors, and today is Sunday of September 2016. As you can see, I'm in my old waxed canvas tent, 6x4, 6 foot by 4 foot, just a little bit bigger than that, but that's the standard size, in a tent that I've had since I was about 8 years old. And I thought it'd been misplaced in storage somewhere, and eventually found it summer last year, so I was really pleased. Summer last year, so I was really pleased about that. So it's been pretty nostalgic, actually, camping out in this last night. A bit of rain, that held off. I stayed dry inside, considering the age of this tent. As you can see, it's a A-shaped ridge tent with side walls of about, I think they're about 15 inches. So it's a real classical 1960s British-made tent, made by this particular company that doesn't exist anymore. So my face is probably looking a bit alien due to the green shade of colour where the sunlight's just coming through and filtering through the material itself, and giving everything a sort of a huey, hazy green type effect. So I'm actually camped out at a friend's homestead, some land that he bought about a year or so ago at Old Allen's, and I've camped out, invited here for the weekend. So the foot end, the exit entrance opening of the tent, sort of further out that way is a small field and access to get onto this plot, and behind me that way is the homestead communal shelter that Sam has built himself. But I'll take you around there so you can have a look on this whole pitch, the tent, this sort of weekend's event. But I'll take you back to last night when we cooked up some food and had a bit of communal scoff and chit chat round the sheltered fire. Okay, so it's coming to just gone midnight, and we are gonna have some scoff to the max, which is basically really simple pre-cooked stuff. Tin of beans, some new potatoes that were tinned, and then also this lentil stew, which has got some quite interesting bits and pieces in it, from bits of frankfurter, smoked pork sausage, ready to have a bit of a midnight feast at Sam's retreat come homestead. And here he is, he's the man himself who's invited us down here, really a gentleman and a scholar, at his homestead that you'll see a little bit more of, where I've actually pitched up and camped in my ancient old tent. And we've got a few other people sitting around, chilling out. And we've got this scarecrow. Oh no, it's not, it's Sandy! All ready to have a bit of scoff, so we'll catch up with you in a little while. Bring it on. So there's the communal shelter that Sam's built. Put a lot of effort to it. You'll see more of that in daylight, and I'm just going to pan round here to the right hand side, and here you can see a little sort of bench and seating area underneath a communal tarp space. But what I'm going to do now is piece de resistance, a little bit of dessert, iced custard brioche, and lucky enough we can heat that up and it'll be all nice and doughy and sticky and gooey and sweet midnight feast dessert. Bring it on.
I'll never video. Not when I've got people down here. I don't know, it's weird. Just don't do it.
Here we go.
I don't video when there's other people about.
So that'll take about 15-20 minutes. We can eat it cold, but it'd be just nice to different sort of flavour. Got some Viennese wells for the first course of the dessert before we tuck into that. Right, it's about 2 o'clock in the morning, and as you can see, I've just got the Hexi on just outside. It's a nice clear evening, a bit breezy, but it's really nice and thermally calm and warm in this wax canvas tent. And it was really good to have a chin wag and a bit of a late night scoff, but I'm just going to have a bit of a nightcap with a cup of tea and a biscuit, and then just lay down and listen to the sound of the wind blowing in the top crown. So I've got my 2-season Army issue tropical sleeping bag, and I'm going to be sleeping on the Army issue 120cm 3/4 length mat with my new mat on top, so it's sort of double thickness for a little bit of comfort on the floor to kit for the night. So my water's boiling, ready for the brew, which I'll put in there. As you can see, my RAV power lantern, which I use to charge my phone, also it gives a nice ambient light here in the tent. So I'm going to down that little bit of a brew nightcap and catch you in the morning. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is get the old single burner Coleman stove, the 533. Had this for since about 2008. I haven't used it for a long time actually. Not long after I got it, I think it was about 2008. I then made this leatherette bag, which I made on the sewing machine, and to sort of carry it around in and put other little sundries that are connected to using that little device. And I'm going to use it to now fill that vessel up and make a first brew of the day, and then open these little doors and get a bit of natural daylight. A little bit overcast, but still a nice fresh day, and really worth being here for the weekend regardless of the weather. First brew of the day to get it on the go. Oh, that's good. Cheers. And it looks like that old sky is starting to clear, and we're going to have a nice clear day. And just the sound of the breeze and wind gently blowing through the trees. And get these things on the move in a little while and show you around the site. But just prior to that, I'll just show you around the internal setup of this ancient old tent. So you saw the sleep system last night before I settled. That was the position of it, the 2 mats. Just got literally a 2 metre. You've seen me use this before as well, just really simple poly tarp from the pound shop, £1. So that was my protective ground surface inside the tent. As I say, it's just over 2 metres by about 1 metre across, which brings us to a new kit bag that I've got. I wanted a top loading holdall. I'll give a bit more spec about that and the purpose and reason why I got it. But really, for a sort of an occasion like this, when you've got your vehicle nearby, you're not having to sort of trek very far, although that's got back mounting straps so you can actually carry it like a back mounted rucksack. I wanted something that's sort of like top loading, where it's just easy to take stuff out rather than having the rucksack. You've got to stand it up, go right down, or you know, the rucksack collapses. But you can actually see it's got 3 pouches on the left side and then a pouch either end, so it's really handy. I've been able to put utility stuff that I want easy, quick access to, and then the bulky stuff like my sleep kit and what have you and other bits and bobs can actually go in the main compartment where the zipper is along the centre line. But I'll show you a little bit more about that, as I say, in a moment. But there's a food bag, speaks for itself there. I brought about 6 litres of water in that jerry can. I use quite a lot. The stick table internal, so that's the sort of aspect of the internal part of this very old 1960s made British company manufactured waxed canvas tent. Traditional Boy Scout type. I got this actually when I was in the Cubs. Got this when I was 8 years old. So it's been in storage, but you're just real classic A shape with 3 sectional wooden poles either end, supported either end by the 2 guy lines that are coming down. A shape, as you can see, sort of one just there and the other one just there, which of course creates the forward and upright stability via those 2 guy lines. And then the rear one is exactly the same, 2 going down diagonally either side, other side of the rear end coming down. Then on the broad side, each side, left and right, are the 3 guy lines pulling out the pitch of the angled roof, and then of course bringing them out at a good distance so it keeps the bottom edge of the slope sort of reasonably high, so at least you get the effect of the wall. And of course the same this side as well. So it's the first time I've used it in Krumsky, about 35 years. It's been in storage for nearly that long as well, although it was used up to my sort of mid-teenage years. So I've had it since I was 8 years old. So it was my first adventure unit when I used to go camping either in people's back gardens as a kid, or when we used to go out in the woods and all that sort of thing. In the day when kids got more involved in that sort of adventurous type of Boy Scout mode. But now I'm going to take my brew with me, what's left of it, and take you around to where the main part of the homestead is, where the communal shelter is. Somewhere up and around there. Always one of the lads. But the other direction leading into this plot, say all this land here you can see is Sam's, where the tree border is. A couple of guys camped up or parked up on this stretch of the grass. Say all of this area. To the right over that way is a small sort of country road. I'm really appreciative that Sam invited us down here. I was hoping to have come Friday. The invite was all day Friday, all day Saturday, and of course Sunday, but I had a few other obligations that cropped up on the Friday, so it would have been really great to have done the 2 nights here. But it was sort of during the afternoon yesterday, and then what you saw last night, although obviously it lasted longer than what was on the footage. And then of course today, and the sun's come out. We had a bit of rain last night, as I say, but the tent held up okay, considering how old it is and how long it's been stashed away. But we'll go, as I say, up here. Okay, so it started to rain, but that's all part of being outdoors, so that's not a problem. But that's where I've just come from, on a bit of field where I've pitched my tent, and next to the wood shelter to protect the firewood is a little communal area here. Sit down bench, etc. that you have seen last night, with an improvised rake to keep the shelter up. And as we pan round, here's the sort of yurt type shelter that Sam is now bending over ready to sort the fire out. built himself, and that's the communal area that we were sitting in and eating last night. So it's a really great project that Sam's actually been doing here for well over a year now. He's put a lot of effort into it. So total respect to the man for what he's done. And even this, if you followed his channel, I'll tell you more about it in a little while, but that is a wooden clad, believe it or not, it was an ice cream van or an ice cream trailer that used to serve ice cream, but he acquired that and now uses that as his sort of like terra firma hard shelter, I suppose you want to call it. Here's the front of it. That's his sort of like more firm basher, if you want to call it. More of a sturdy shelter unit, but absolutely fantastic, all the effort and work that he's put into. On the right side to the entrance, and take you around to this side, which obviously is all real practically spaced, where he's got everything, so he's got easy access to go from his shelter unit to the communal area to the wood store, and there's sort of another communal shelter unit area. Close up of the firewood shelter, and again, none of this was here when Sam took this over as a project. And of course that's the field that I was talking about earlier, came down here to the communal area, and I'll just take you down this little slope, just a little bit of a walkabout. You can see there is a sort of a wire fence going along the perimeter there. And Sam's cut down all these paths that carry on and continue to another part of his land here, but just on the other side of this fence is a small little stream. You might be able to see a bit of glistening of the water there as the stream goes in line with this wire fence, and Sam's boundary goes to the midpoint, the sort of riparian rights, if you want to call it that, to do with waterways and land that butts up sort of parallel to it. He owns the centre line of the stream, and the wood goes up to there as well, to the border line that you can see the trees, and it goes right the way across here, and we'll pick it up the other side. And as I do, it's Mr. Jacklore himself, Mr. Sandy. Nice little setup there that Sandy's got. What's that camera?
This is a Lumix G7.
Right, and what are you using that for?
I use it for all my still photography and also for my video.
Oh really? Okay.
Yeah. But I've also got a facility on it where I can use it for time lapse.
Okay.
I'm just setting up a time lapse now.
Yeah.
So I'm going to do 1 second exposures.
Yeah.
And it will take 300, and then it will render them and make a video.
300 stills?
Stills,
right,
yes.
okay.
And now, that's it, it started. And if you come around here, Pete,
yeah,
you'll see it's taking a photograph every second.
Oh, spot that, people.
And then when it's done the 300, it will knit them together.
Yeah.
I'm hoping I'm going to get some of the foreground and foreground interest, and then I'm going to get the clouds and the blue sky, and it makes a real nice.
Oh right, sort of from up there.
Yeah.
Right, gotcha.
But you've got to set it up so that you get it's shooting in full manual.
Okay.
So I set the exposure, I set the white balance, I set the shutter speed,
Yeah.
aperture.
Right.
And it just makes some real nice interest.
Yeah, sure.
A good camera as well.
Oh, spot on, mate.
I'm pleased with that, Pete.
So you're going to have to watch this man's video of this weekend, so you're going to get some of that in it as well. Great stuff. Oh, I'm going to go and show him where your shelter is, mate.
I'll take it down.
Have you? Oh, right, I'll show him where it was. Right, we're going to talk past tense here, where Sandy was. He was just round this part of the woods, which I'll take you round. Again, this is a lot of all this area has been cleared. What Sam wants to do is actually keep it as natural as it was when he took it over. So he owns all this. So, and this project is really a sort of a project of love, really. Creating a homestead, a retreat to relax. But Sandy was between those uprights. He had his hammock and tarp between that and was just swinging around and sheltered up there. But as you can see, the fence that I was talking about, this is the further end. Let's take a look at the street. And here's the stream going all the way along here. So access to water, obviously you'd have to treat it. And I don't mean take it out to dinner or the cinema, but treat it as in decontaminate it. But say on the other side, so he's, if you imagine the sort of centre line, it's still his land, even though he's fenced it for mainly for sort of safety. But he still has the rights of access to get to the centre line of the water if he wants to. And then the bank rises up, which is pretty good protection as well, because it's not that practical to sort of maraud or try and move around there if you wanted to. And then just on the other side of it, it's private land that's all really rural. And the slope sort of coming down this way creates a little bit of a barrier to maybe just a little bit of the noise. After a while you don't really take any notice of it. It's like anything really, it all becomes subliminal and you don't really notice it. But what does block some of the sound of the traffic, and again it's not a massive main road, is the fact that the ground is sloping down, so the sound will go over the top of you. So of course the lower down we are, hence that's where all the communal area is, the more peaceful it is. So yeah, really nice. So just stomping back up here again, this is where I was thinking actually of pitching the tent, was just on this slight slope, which would have been just about, not too much, it's sort of coming down at an angle like that, so head end, foot end. But I say it was nice, there's no overhang. We sort of like checked out Sam being an arborist, tree surgeon, landscaper and what have you, so he's a true skilled outdoorsman, knows all about sort of dead, fall and widow makers and all that, as we all do that go in the outdoors. So I thought what I'd do is I'll actually go on the open space where I am, just on the edge of the field, and had easy access to the car, so I didn't have far to walk. Basically I just opened the boot of the car, unloaded it and set the tent up. So yeah, that was really practical. So again, the logistics of something like that where your transport is, if you haven't got a lot of footwork, you can sort of take heavier stuff. So normally I might have taken the butane gas stove, but this time just a little bit heavier was the one-man Coleman stove, which was nice to use because I haven't used it for a long time. Back up this little bit of slope. So Sam's invested a lot of time in clearing some sort of pathways, but he didn't want to disturb any of the wildlife. There's muntjacs around here, foxes, anything that you can imagine that wouldn't have been disturbed, and he sort of wanted to keep everything away from where it's sort of like natural habitat. But everything has been conducive to trying to keep it as natural as possible. Albeit you've got humans here, like we've been this weekend, and Sam's had people here before. As we just go around this way, a little bit of a guided tour. So where the edge of the, where you can see the uprights of some of the trees are, is the boundary. So we've just come from where Sandy was pitched up, and I was thinking of come up sort of round here to here. Brought us to this point. Boundary area just here. And we follow the path round this area. This is all naturally open. So we'll just leg it a little bit further round here. This is a little bit of a path that he also sort of cleared a little bit. But just round here he's got a guy that asked if he could have a couple of beehives, which he's got, so we might see a bit of activity. Sam was showing me yesterday the flight path, where if you just want to sit down you can actually watch the bees come in. You can see them there, here we go. Should be able to catch a bit of activity there. And their flight path is to and from, diagonally, into that open space there. So as I walk past the beehives to my left, just going to another part of the open area, which was another place I was thinking, oh yeah, in the trees, where it feels a little bit more sort of like wild. And I was actually going to pitch here, but this is sort of a bit of the open area where again I was thinking of pitching. Sam had offered to sort of clear a bit of area over there, but I thought, no, I don't want to, he's kind enough to invite us here. But obviously he, wants the privacy of when he's here with his family, or he invites sort of like guests down here now and again, like-minded people that like being in the outdoors, but within an area where you've got no restrictions. Sam owns this, labour of love. yeah, enough said really. People that appreciate the outdoors can know exactly where I'm coming from and appreciate this project really. So as I continue walking this direction, come around about, I keep calling it a yurt, it's not, but I mean that's the sort of shape of it. But Sam's coming up with an idea, he's going to, I think some sort of like a workshop or something where he's going to be doing all his sort of like woodworking and what have you. And now this is round the rear end of it. But I'm just coming around here, say you see another, lots of dead wood, dropped stuff that's just basically fallen off the trees or has just sort of started to perish. So basically all of Sam's firewood, again there's more here, look. He's not too concerned about it lying down, but obviously when he's got time and he can prioritise it, he can bring it up standing so it can dry out. But say there's lots here. But all of his firewood is basically what you've seen me describe here on the ground, deadfall, that sort of thing, and any surplus wood he can take from his arborist work. So, you know, he doesn't want to be cutting down any of the trees. As I say, he wants to keep it as natural as it was when he had it, but of course to make it livable. So he's done minimal sort of effect on the landscape, but making it practical to be able to walk around like we just have. Which now brings us back to the communal area. One of the lads, the fire sparks up, so I think we're going to be having a brunchy meal. There's a toilet, compost loo in there, and a standing joke that I think some people that have been following some of Sam's stuff, he calls it the pipe of peas. Which is the man toilet. Unless a female's a gymnast and she wants to give it a try by levitating off the ground. And the mascot of the site is a little West Island White Terrier, which is Sam's little buddy in arms. And brings us back to what I'm going to call the yurt. So before I return back to the communal area where some food's being cooked up, Sam, I wanted to respect his sort of privacy. Obviously I've shown you around the site and that, but you know, it's still a sort of a private project, and I wanted to respect that. But he's just said if I wanted to include his converted ice cream van, then show you around inside there. So again, everything here was all made. He made the steps himself. He's done a little bed bench, got a little cooking unit, and once inside with the bed unit behind me, little wood burner stove, the chimney's up as you see right up to there, got his reading books, bit of bird watching, viewing a bit of wildlife, and just coming to a sleep unit here, all other bits and bobs. Now that's one beast of a saw, not quite your EDC, but well handy to have, especially in Sam's line of work. And then just this side of the wall, barometer, toolkit, what have you. So from that estate agent style tour around the converted ice cream van, Sam's mobile but more firmer terra firma shelter. But I'm going to return into there and see what we got to eat.
Wilma, put your jibber jabber.
There's an opening in the centre of the roof which obviously does create a draft to draw the smoke up. And once the fire gets going, as you can see, now there's no smoke in the unit, so yeah, all good stuff. Okay, this rucksack holdall I acquired just a couple of days ago, especially for an event like this. As I said, carrying it out the boot of the car where you don't have to do a lot of trekking like you would a normal rucksack. albeit just briefly, just a quick spec on it. There's the shoulder straps, one either side, so obviously you mount it, your head end, your waist end there. The underneath of it has got like a waterproof plastic, really nice and sturdy, and all of the inside is lined with the same as well. So it's reasonably waterproof. Obviously the seams could do with being treated with a seam seal or something like that, sort of a liquid glue that would seam it. But I mean, overall your kit's going to remain pretty dry. Two handles to sort of pick it up. One end has got a zip pouch that goes across the end of it. In there I just carried my MSR 1.6 litre saucepan fry pan with a lid, just in case I needed to use it to mix and match with the cooking in the communal. This end, the other end, waterproof trousers, and also I put the waterproof poncho, but was just on my waist belt, so I've been carrying that around with my camera pouch and also my other EDC pouch. And along one side are the 3 pouches, the 3 zip pouches. Put different sundries that you want easy access to, but say with the main bulk of my stuff, like my food bag, which is outside at the moment, just there. And once I've bagged up and rolled up my sleep kit, that will go in the main compartment of this holdall. But as I say, the reason why I've got it is just so that it's easier to access stuff and carry in this sort of situation and camp out, compared to actually having a rucksack which is all upright and can sort of collapse when you want to get stuff out. It just can be more awkward. So I can actually keep stuff in that bag, but have easy access to it rather than unload a rucksack and have the stuff all over the floor. Finally, is it's supposed to have had a shoulder strap which went from one end to the other. So I've had to sort of use the rucksack shoulder strap, both of them, to sort of, if you can imagine, go over my shoulder, put my arm through it. But the one that was actually advertised, I was expecting to get, was supposed to have had a shoulder strap that went from one end to the other that you could just pick up and sling over your shoulder, like a normal shoulder mounting supportive carrying holdall would be. So, but I'll probably improvise and make my own one. So what I've got just draped over, what I could have used as a canopy porch at the front of the tent, is this 2 metre by 3 metre tarp. Really lightweight, got the reflective liner inside as well if you're doing low profile, so it's got a bit more thermal quality. And what I would have done is fixed it probably on the centre ridge loop of the tarp and then just brought it over the top, or I had it from the top here and I had another basher pole which I could have fixed and just had sort of a little porch at the front, which actually could have been higher to actually sort of sit up in, so it would have been much higher than the actual tip of the 3-sectional wooden pole. But I didn't need it. If I'd have been here for a bit longer and we didn't have the communal to sit, commune and cook and eat and all that sort of thing, then I would have definitely set this up and had it sort of in front of the entrance to the tent. Anyway, so we're coming to about 3 o'clock in the afternoon, so I'm going to strike down my tent, and it would normally be packed in this canvas bag, so you can see the size and shape of it in relation to the tent, and it would all normally fold in half, then roll up, and all the kit, the tent pegs, the tent itself and the poles would actually fit in this bag. But as the tent is just a little bit damp, and I'm sort of in the shade here with the overhang of the tree just nearby and the sun's sort of coming round this way, so if I'd have been here for longer, the sun would have come down towards me here and obviously dried out the tent. I'm not going to roll it up. I mean, it's nearly sort of dry now. You can see a few little sort of specks here, but where the breeze and wind has actually caught it along the broadside, it's dried out a little bit. But I'm just going to fold it to about sort of like 4 or 5 sections and just lay it flat in the boot of the car, and then hang it in the garage over my step ladder to dry out in the garage when I get home. So there's the just over 100 litre rucksack holdall, and you can see the 2 shoulder straps underneath where the Velcro section, and just lift it up to carry it and put in the boot of my car. Okay, so that's the footprint of where my tent was for the Saturday night. So there were 5 of us, including Sam at Sam's homestead retreat. As I say, it's a labour of love really, and really impressed by what he's done. Follow his YouTube channel, I'll put the link below.
Some interesting stuff if you're into homesteading, or even if you're not. It's just really interesting to see the progress and how Sam started. I think the whole progress started about a year and a half ago, from being literally nothing to being all overgrown to what you've actually seen in this video. So, you know, thumbs up to the bloke. He's really done a great job, and it was really nice for him to invite us down here for the weekend. So I'm going to go down there and say my farewells to Sam and my gratitudes for being here over the past sort of nearly just over 24 hours. And but always finishing off. Thanks for watching, really appreciate your interest, and catch you in another video soon. Cheers, take care.